Good afternoon. This is Fit in Crypto. So, I've had this channel out for a while. I've been kind of up and down with what to do with it. So, I guess I'll start this video with just a little kind of caption on what I am, who I am. So, I'm 42 years old from California here. Good old golden state of California, overtaxed. I was I've I was born out here, raised out here. I was born into a pretty povertous family. My mother and father didn't really have very much money. They didn't make great life decisions. They were pretty much the hippie type of parents, family. Smoke pot, drink, do drugs, party. So, a bunch of crazy stuff happened when I was a kid. Got taken away from my parents, got given back to my parents. Nothing really was ever great in my household. I didn't have a really solid family foundation. We were homeless a majority of my life, from apartment to apartment sometimes, but mainly pretty much parks like this. Living in a car, I didn't mind too much. I always had a bunch of kids around and friends around, and my parents were happy. So I didn't see very much sadness around them too much. So I just figured it was a happy style of life, happy go lucky. Then I started growing up and realized how poor I was exactly as a child. So, about 15 years old or so, I started working, got a job. 16, left the living situation I was in and started my own life. Before that, when I was smaller, my parents didn't hide anything from me, especially my stepfather. He explained why they had made the decisions they had, and it was a mental illness. Addiction is a mental illness, which leads to a physical illness. And it's just not a good situation to be in. So, as a small child, I never even thought twice about doing hardcore drugs or anything like that. Just stay in school, keep my education, and be as positive as I could be. My stepdad was always in and out of jail. He was even on America's Most Wanted once or twice for doing some pretty stupid things. He passed away shortly after I ran away from home, and my mother's still alive. Where am I going with all this, right? It's going to be kind of a long video. Bear with me if you can, please. So I never got into drugs, never got into hardcore drugs or doing anything like that. I drank beer and smoked pot. I know some of you probably call that a major drug, depending on where you live, where you are. So drinking kind of became my thing to do. I'd get off of work. I've always pretty much looked like this. The gray hairs are new. But ever since I was 15, 16 years old. I pretty much look like this. I'll post some pictures up one day. But I was called the 40-year-old kid. So all my friends in high school that were old enough to buy cigarettes at the time didn't have IDs yet, so they couldn't buy cigarettes. So I'd buy them cigarettes even though I was younger than they were. I'd never get carded. And I just thought that was the coolest thing in the world. So drinking became more of a thing in my life. Every day after work, then became during lunch break. It became a lifestyle. And I hadn't realized how much of a lifestyle it had become and what it had done. I'm not gonna quote the exact title of the video, but Alex Becker, if you ever see this, thank you very much, my friend. You have said a lot of things that changed my perception on addiction, on life, wealth, health. Even though you can be kind of a prick, really helped a guy out. So 5 years ago, I started investing in crypto. I think I made a little bit of a video on this before. My half-sister's husband was posting on Facebook, pulling out $1,000, pulling out $500. I made this much today. I made that much today. And I was like, dude, what are you doing? Like, I know you promote punk rock bands and hip hop bands and stuff. You're a show promoter. I really don't think show promoters make that much money. So what's going on? Basically told me I invest in stocks and in crypto. I don't want to teach you. No one very much will want to teach you, but there's a lot of people on YouTube that you could learn from and study A, B, C, and D. And you should be fine. And so I started watching videos. I started downloading apps. Robinhood, I think, was my first one, like everybody almost. And then slowly just all the rest of the apps. And around that time that I started investing, my significant other became very ill. She went to the hospital for acute pancreatitis, which is basically your pancreas is shutting down from over alcohol consumption, eating the wrong foods, all sorts of stuff, not just one thing, but a bunch of things lead to it. But mainly it was the alcohol for us, for sure. So the doctor told her, change your lifestyle or you won't live anymore, or at least not very well. So that time kind of changed everything in my life. It was the first time I'd ever been away from her since we moved in together, and we have 2 kids together. We've been together almost 20 years now. So when she got out of the hospital, I stopped drinking. Cold turkey, stopped smoking cigars. I really started to hold close to me things that influencers said about health and wealth and everything in between, pretty much, right? At that point in time, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I'm not gonna lie. We were homeless. We were living in an RV on the street and just kind of fudging through life. Always made sure our daughters had everything they needed. They always had clothes. They always had food. Everything was needed except for a solid, stable foundation. Ours rolled around on wheels. which some people will argue as well, that's not really homeless then. Which I guess I could agree with that to some extent. It's not 100% homeless. On the street, yes. So I really started to study. I always knew fitness pretty well, always been pretty fit. But I really started to study finance and credit scores and how the rich are rich and how the rich stay rich and how to play with money. So at first I really started messing around with credit cards. I applied for a credit card, got denied. And the videos I was watching said, don't get discouraged. That happens to a lot of people. Try again. Just keep trying until you get it. So I got a credit card. I started investing a little bit here and a little bit there in crypto. I turned just about $2,000 into 20,000 pretty fast. And then that went up to 50,000, went up to 70,000. One night it shot up to about 500,000. I called a friend of mine and I said, all right, I think I'm ready to pull some of this money off. How do I pull this money out? I didn't know everything I needed to know. The family friend slash, well, you heard what he is, the husband of my half-sister's half-sister. Study A, B, C, and D. I studied A and B, As an alcoholic, I lost my patience. So I just figured, study the beginning, study the end, you should know everything. Long story short, I didn't know everything. I didn't know how to pull the money out of where I had obtained it from. So that was a big deal. Had to borrow some Ethereum from a friend to get money out. By the time that happened, a day or two had gone by. He was busy working. It dropped from 500,000 down to 70,000 again. Resistance levels, structural levels in crypto. I didn't know any of this. So I started to freak out a little bit. Called him. I said, hey, man, it went down from 500,000 all the way down to 70,000. Can you please come help me as soon as you can? Let's get this show on the road. I'll give you some cash for helping me out. Long story, I know. By the time he got over, it had gone all the way down to $20,000. That was November 21st, 2021. Infamous day, I'm sure everybody in crypto will remember for the rest of their life. So I pulled out the 20,000, gave him $1,000 for helping me, spent half of the money, put the other half back in. I discovered crypto.com was my favorite platform. Crow at that time was, I don't know, 40 cents, somewhere around there probably, 30 to 40 cents after being $1, coming down. So I figured this has got to be the bottom. I'm going to buy in right here and just kind of kick back, Jack, and see what happens. So most of the money I'd accumulated before, so I didn't really mind. Then it continued to tank, go down, do pretty badly. Everything did pretty badly. So then I started to really, really, really study crypto. I made it my whole life. I made it everything that I did. I learned how to play around in the DeFi wallet. I learned how to stake and unstake assets. Started to teach myself a little bit about stocks. Good afternoon. Hey, pups. And I slowly changed my life. You know, well, you don't know, right? That's why I'm doing this video. Excuse me, I'm a little nervous. I don't usually do this. I just do my short little videos about my MPG. So I started to really turn around and look at my life, really, really, really see what I'd been doing all this time. And I realized that I'd wasted a bunch of my life away, and that crypto was a way I could recover my losses pretty quickly, fairly quickly. Learned about the 4-year cycle. The first year of being in crypto, I really, really, really cracked down on everything. Money that I made, myself, my health, family. So I moved us out of the RV, got a more stable job, and I just slowly started changing everything about my life. I was new to really living a life, really being an accomplished person, I guess you would say. Always had secondhand cars. I mean, they were always good cars, but I never had a brand new car. So, with everything that I learned from credit and everything, I I started looking around at different car companies, different used cars and stuff, I guess you would say. So I figured out I could use my credit, and at this point in time, I had gotten a couple more credit cards, racked up a couple $1,000s in credit, but not negative credit. It was all available to use. So I took that money, went down to a little used car lot, used my credit through my name, and also used my $2,000 in credit cards that I had at the time. And I ended up getting a little Dodge Caliber, little hatchback car. Take me to work, take the wife to work, and the kids to school and such. Drove that car around, came really close to paying it off, almost all the way, probably within a couple $100. We were making double payments sometimes. We were just hauling down on it, building the credit. Credit score kept rising. So I took that car to Toyota and traded it in and got a 2023 Toyota Corolla with 13 miles on it. My very first brand new car. So in about a year's time, with dedication, determination, and what I like to say, helm, like the ship's helm, I grabbed the helm and started to control my life for the first time. The reason I purchased that vehicle was because we were in a 1-bedroom apartment. My mother is elderly. She needed somebody to take care of her. So we started to help to take care of her. We were living in the RV. a block away from where her apartment was, we couldn't have the RV parked there anymore. So we had to move. So I found a house for rent that was in our price range, believe it or not. I couldn't believe it, at least. 4 bedrooms, 2 baths on a cul-de-sac, 60 miles away from everything. From my daughter's school, from my wife's work, from our life as we knew it. So I got the Toyota so we can move far away, still afford gas, still take the kids to school, because switching their schools was not in my mind at all whatsoever. I grew up, like I said earlier, pretty challenged. So I couldn't even tell you how many elementary schools I went to, probably over 5. Went to 4 different junior highs and 2 different high schools. And let me tell you, it was not fun. When I was younger, when I was really, really young in elementary school, the school that I was at had noticed that I was really, really, really smart. And they put me in some sort of test, and it was with a bunch of other kids. I didn't know what it was at the time, but supposedly I was in the top 5% of my grade of all of LAUSD. And switching schools after that destroyed that. It destroyed my want to go to any type of college or even try hard. So I just did the bare minimum for the rest of my school education until I dropped out and started working. So switching schools for my kids was just never in the cards for me. I was never, ever, ever going to do that. And I would do anything, I mean anything, to keep them in the exact same school and graduate from it so they could have the ability, the option to excel and do great, because I knew that if I was in the top 5%, that they would be outrageous. They had to be. Genetics, right? So we traded that car in for the Toyota, and we got the house on the cul-de-sac, rented out. We've been there. This is our 3rd year now. Haven't drank 1 drop of alcohol since the day my significant other, my wife, we don't have paperwork, but my wife, got out of the hospital. She hasn't touched a drop of alcohol since then. And we've done nothing but make our life better and better and better. And sometimes it can be pretty hard, especially as a crypto investor. Your patience can be tried over and over again. But basically, this extremely long video of 30-second pauses for me because I am nervous and I don't know exactly how to speak yet. And I'm not great at editing. I'll get better at that, though, as time goes on. I promise. Because I do good at everything that I do good at. The will is in the want to. If you want to do it, you will do it. That's just it. That's it. It's that simple. But the point of me making this is in hopes that someone else will see this that has some sort of issue the same way. Maybe has a battle with drugs or alcohol, whatever it is. To know that you can always change what's going on in your situation. That's something that I've realized. Change Comes naturally, right? I don't know if any of you can relate to this, but change happens constantly, constantly. And like I told my daughter, and I've told my mother, because my mother is like a big giant child. Not giant, I mean giant as in age. When you're born, you can't walk, right? Other beings, human beings, what have you, have to carry you around. And then you start to crawl. That's change. Then you start to walk. That's change. In this crawling and walking, excuse my language, you can't wipe your own ass. You can't feed yourself. You can't do it. You don't even know how. You don't even know what it is. But you slowly learn these things, right? You pick up a spoon, put it in the pudding, put it in the mouth. And that's that. And then you're eating. You changed. Did it come easy? Maybe, maybe not. Same goes for walking, right? You start walking, it's a change. You lose your balance, you fall down, you smack your head, you run into the coffee table a couple times, but it's change. You are meant to change. You are meant to do that, to smack your head on the coffee table. You are meant to not wipe your ass properly. Then realize you didn't do it, and then learn and change. Change it. It's really, really, really hard to stay the same. You have to make all sorts of excuses to stay the same. When I was drinking all the time, I'd wake up sometimes with such a bad hangover. God, I'm never doing that again. What did I even do yesterday? Call a friend, they're pissed off at you because you did something stupid. I don't know. I didn't do a horrible amount of stupid things, but I did some pretty stupid things. Pretty sure some of my friends are going to watch this and go, no, you did a lot of stupid fucking things. But the time was there to change. If I would not have changed, I wouldn't be here yapping into this camera. I wouldn't be sitting in a spot where I know I will become financially stable. I know I will become a millionaire. I know I will. That's easy. That's easier now that I've changed than ever before. So I hope this video kind of tells you a little bit about me and also inspires some people that may be going through some stuff thinking you can't do it, that it's impossible. Well, here, it's not impossible. It's very possible to do anything you want to do. And I really mean anything you want to do. You just have to find the will and the want to. And change will always come. Do you take the opportunity or not? Sometimes it's not the best thing, sometimes it is. And for anybody who is in crypto, it's been in crypto, this week has been rough. This week has been really rough. But as far as I've studied, I've seen, as far as I know about the market now, which I just hit at the top before everything went down recently, I just hit 100K. It's down to about 35K right now. But none of the metrics are saying that this bull run is over that I can see. None of them. And I'm not going to go through the list. I thought I wanted to be that crypto guy like everybody else that's there just yapping about charts and, oh, and you can see by this and by that it's going to go up and it's going to go down. And in the next 5 1-hour candles, we're going to have a reversal. After this last crash, don't take this wrong if you're that YouTube person, but thank you very much for helping crash the market. And if you don't understand that, then you're pretty fucking stupid. Because if I was a market maker, if I had the money to be a market maker, all I would have to do is watch YouTube. That's all I'd have to do. Just watch YouTube. Watch the top 10 analysis videos on where their liquidation levels are, where they entered at. Read the chat for all their cult following of people of where they're getting in at. Because everyone likes to talk about it. They don't even have to look at the order book. With all these yapping faces on YouTube about prices and where it's going to go and what it's going to do, you don't even have to read order books anymore. Just watch Crypto Bob Fob, which if you're a person, I'm sorry, but trying to figure out a name that doesn't exist. If you're Crypto Bob Fob with 1.5 million followers and you're telling everybody you're getting in at this point on Bitcoin and that your take profit is at this point on Bitcoin and your stop loss is at this point on Bitcoin, then if I'm a market maker, I'm going to stomp you out and take your money and all your followers' money and laugh about it. That's what I would do. If I was them. But I want to see everybody succeed. So I would never do that. But now knowing that and seeing that, I would never even make a video on chart analysis or anything like that. But you can change your life with crypto and with stocks and with bonds. Shit, you could change your life anyway. You could wake up, get a job at McDonald's, start changing your life. As long as you live below your means, which will be other videos later on. Yeah. That's 33 minutes right there. Thank you, everybody. Hitting crypto.